What's up? How y'all feeling today? Hopefully y'all can hear me all right. All right. All right, let's get people a couple more minutes to get in here, then we'll get started. Hopefully it won't be too long today. I just want to make this video so that people could come back and look at it, have some information on what to do, and know what to do, especially as it pertains to bulking and cutting this year. So, I know it's a lot of information out there about if you should put size on, if you should shred, if you should cut, bulk, and all that other stuff. But today we're going to get into it and pretty much just talk about which one, what makes the most sense, especially in today's day and age with, having to spend so much money on different things. And, it's expensive to bulk up. So definitely want to talk about certain things today about what it takes to actually put that size on. All right, so look, what time? 7. Give him another minute. I'll get started. Y'all be patient with me. Give him another minute, and I'll get started. And then I'm gonna breeze through this so I can get back to watching this game. So, but I want to definitely get this out there. So, let's see. All right, let's go. Let's go, because I got things to do. All right, so let's keep it brief. Today's video is about bulking and cutting and which one makes the most sense in 2022, or do either of them make sense? We've spent a lot of time researching on what works, what doesn't work. And, I think people have been probably talking about bulking and cutting since like 2014. And so now at this point, we got a lot of information on how it actually works, which one makes the most sense. And in the long term of things, which one you probably should start with, based on the way you want your results to end up later on, because we've seen the fluctuation, we've seen the cycles, we've seen people competing, we've seen it all now. So at this point, what makes the most sense? All right. So let's get into it. First thing, the benefits of bulking. All right. So there are some key things that make it worthwhile to be working out to bulk. Okay. And it's very important because, we all have to go through it. Okay. So the benefits of bulking is that the goal is to put on size. All right. Put on size. That's why we call it a bulk. We want to put on size. Okay. How you put on size specifically is another thing, but the goal of this whole thing called bulking is to put on mass, right? All right. And the second thing that you'll get from this is gaining strength. So another goal is to gain some strength. You want to put on size. You want to get stronger at least. Of course, you want to build muscle and all that stuff, but everybody bulks and everybody has their own way of saying this is how I bulk. This is how. But let's get into it, okay? And the other thing about bulking is you have to know what your metabolism is, right? Because depending on who you are, your bulk might be different than somebody else's bulk. Okay, you may be bulking and then it goes all wrong. Somebody else might be bulking and it goes all right. So depending on what your metabolism is, all of that plays an important key role in your bulking factor too. Okay, if that's what you want to go for. All right. So again, anybody who missed it, the key things, the benefits of bulking are putting on size for one. Second thing is gaining strength. Okay, and then the third thing is your metabolism is important to know how you're going to have to bulk. And then the fourth thing is your starting point really matters about where you're coming from. And so if you want to bulk, but you're in a place where you got to consider what your body looks like and then decide, do you want to bulk? Do you want to cut? It's kind of like you're pivoting, like, I don't know which way to go. I don't know which way to go. Which one should I do? And depending on the body that you have, that's what tells you the direction that you probably need to go in, if you need to bulk or cut. Okay? So now let's get into the second point, the cons of bulking. Sometimes people like to bulk and they don't have definition to begin with. All right. And so that's not a good way to be trying to bulk. Right. So that's the downside of cons of bulking. Overeating can also happen. On size, you may get into the habit of eating more and just saying, okay, I'm going to eat more. This should help me grow. Right. So that can be a side effect of your bulking. And it may not. Here's the key, which is going to be the banger. And hopefully everybody understands this. Let me say this from the beginning because I'm gonna cut on the video for myself later on. One of the cons of bulking is that you may not even be bulking to put on muscle. You may just be bulking up with fat. All right. So if you don't know what you're doing, you could just be gaining more fat exponentially for no reason, thinking that you're bulking, but really you're not even bulking because you're not doing the other things that go along with it to make it be a bulk. It's just you're just gaining weight now. Okay, so that's one of the cons. So be careful. Another thing is that you may just be getting strong too. And instead of actually putting on size and bulking, you might bulk, but you might get what I would like to call like a fat strong. And what that is okay, yeah, you're bulking, you're trying to get big, but the big is coming in a direction where you're just looking rounder everywhere. No clear definition, no nothing, but on paper you are getting stronger. Okay, so you might be putting the size on and stuff, well, not the size, but you might be hitting the numbers and the metrics that you wanted, and maybe the size too, with your clothes on. But as far as when you take it off, the definition may not be there because you're doing it kind of wrong. Okay? Now, when I say doing it wrong, here's one of the things that I talk about a lot when it comes to symmetry. You can very easily blow your lines. And blowing your lines is like messing up your waist or messing up your chest or your arms and stuff like that. So what I mean by blowing your lines, have you ever seen somebody who, when they take their shirt off, or a guy who takes his shirt off and maybe his chest is a little like out of place, like it may be a little saggier in certain areas, or you may have like a stomach, but it may be loose skin down there on your stomach because you were bigger before. You might have love handles, and maybe when the love handles came down, it's kind of just softer, and you don't have that key definition that you always wanted. Because what happens is sometimes you put on so much size that now when you come down, there was so much extra skin, or your body just doesn't contour right because you hadn't been training it for that. You kind of just came down in weight, and as you came down in weight, or even if you just put out a size, you might have put on size with the wrong body and then grew that body instead of, or shrunk that body instead of detailing it first and then coming down slowly. And so then you end up blowing your lines, and you got all these things where it's like, well, I like this, but I don't like the way I look right here. Or I like this, but I don't like the way my arms are. So that tends to happen. Or you may have a lot of stretch marks or something like that. Or your chest may slope downwards or something because you used to have a saggier chest, but now it lifts up, but you can't get rid of that piece that makes it sag down. And it can happen with anything, you know what I mean? So you got to be careful about when you're going into bulking and cutting. That stuff tends to happen a lot, especially when you're up in age. Okay, so keep that in mind. You don't want to ruin yourself. And then another thing is that when you're bulking, you can end up becoming disproportionate. And what I mean by that is sometimes, how I like to talk about, okay, if you're going to lift heavy this day, make sure you go eat. Some of us carry weight and we'll hold on to weight in different areas of our body if we do more eating than we normally do. So for example, like let's say, okay, you're trying to put on size, and so you say, okay, well, I'm gonna eat this, and I'm gonna eat another one of these, and I'm gonna eat two of these, and I'm gonna eat, double up because I can afford it, and I worked out hard today, and I'm gonna be able to burn it off. And you do that, but sometimes like some of that some of that food it may have been unnecessary, and then now it's starting to convert to fat instead. Because what tends to happen is a lot of times people may think that they're bulking, and instead of actually tearing down the muscle, it may just be working out regular and then eating more. And so the thing is, when you're trying to bulk, you got to remember and keep this in mind. Make sure that you're trying to work out even harder, and then complement it with adding food to your your regimen. So your workouts got to get harder too, as well as your food has to be more and become more abundant. You got to eat more things, even if it's not a lot, a lot of different varieties of stuff. It's just eat more of the things that you've already been eating. So try that, and that'll help you bulk up a lot cleaner versus bulking up and looking sloppy along the way. Okay. Now, the benefits of one more con to bulking is that it can get very expensive too, because you got to buy all this extra food, all this excess stuff. You know what I'm saying? You got to buy a lot of food. You got to just keep up with it, and like sometimes like you'll get side effects like sweating a lot. Like you'll just be sweating a lot all the time, or it's inconvenient to have to stop and use the bathroom, or you're drinking that much water and you got to pull over all the time and pee somewhere if you want to go. So there's a lot of different little nuances that come along with trying to bulk up as well. So keep that in mind, especially the supplements that you're taking and foods that you got to have, and like it can become a bill. So now the benefits of shredding. Let's get into shredding a little bit, and we'll talk about that to kind of give you guys a good understanding of where you need to go, and then I'll answer some of the questions that's in the chat. So the benefits of shredding, the first one I have is that you want to look leaner, and you want to have clear definition. right? That's the goal for shredding. You want to lean out some to actually see what you're looking like, okay? And even if you already look like something, you probably want to just see a little more detail. So the goal is detail when you're leaning out, all right, or shredding, rather. More conditioning as well. More conditioning, though, comes with more cardio. Okay, so if you're not familiar with doing cardio, you got to know like cardio is going to be mandatory now. Okay, and that's just one of those things. Another benefit, excuse me, one of the cons to shredding, because all it is just getting leaner and then looking different and getting shredded and stuff like that, doing a little bit more cardio. But one of the cons is that shredding and becoming ripped sometimes is very hard to maintain. Okay, it's very hard to maintain walking around like that 365 days a year. And the other thing that's tough to maintain about it is timing it just right to be able to look like what you want people to see during the time that you're going to be taking your clothes off. So like if you're shredding and you're doing it for a season and okay, this summer I'm going to be going out here and taking pictures and my clothes off and this and that and that, like you got to start so much further along in the year just so that you can become ready for this time. And the thing is, like, it's very hard to maintain. I'll give you guys an example. Like I had gotten ready for a show one time and I lined it up so that right after the show, I was going to be going on a cruise too. And so on the cruise, like, I'd done maybe the Saturday or something like that. And then Sunday was time for the cruise to leave. And so like when I showed up to the cruise ship, I was looking spectacular. Everybody was looking at me like, what in the world? Like, what do you do for a living? Why are you looking like that? Not knowing that I had just gotten ready for a show. I mean, I was looking my best at the time, but now I'm walking around with my clothes off on this cruise ship, swim shorts and stuff, swim trunks and no shirt on. And people asking me who I play for and what sport I do and all that stuff. So that can come with it. But I knew that wasn't going to, be my look forever. So I kind of just timed it so that when I got out there, I looked magnificent. But then, of course, a couple weeks later, that size tended to come off and stuff like that, or that look, the definition, the detail. But, it just kind of fell off after a while because it's very hard to maintain. Okay, so keep that in mind. Like it's hard to walk around like that often. Another thing that's the con about bulking, about another con about cutting is you're hungry. And if you have a fast metabolism, that's the issue because you got to always eat, right? But the thing is, though, is that if you need to shred, you also may have to diet. So if you got a fast metabolism, you may not have to do too much. But if you got a fast metabolism, you got to eat so much more, but that's your version of dieting. So now you have to eat more just to not lose muscle, as well as if you're somebody who already likes to eat, now you have to diet down just to lose weight. And so it's a real tricky conundrum. And remember, I just said it again, like when you're lean already and you're trying to, shred or whatever, but you're, used to being lean, you still have to eat enough to be able to feed that muscle so that you can get the fat off, but only have, food that goes in your system that feeds the muscle versus food that goes into your body to be feeding the fat. And so I don't know if that went over y'all's head or not, but the problem is that you're going to have to diet one way or the other. Either it's dieting to add on more food or dieting to take out food. But you can shred either way, depending on where your body's metabolism is and where your start comes from. Like you can shred by eating more as well versus just shredding by taking in less calories. You know what I'm saying? So hopefully y'all get that. Now, my suggestion to y'all to cap this off, my suggestion is one thing that I prefer for myself because I like walking around ready at any given moment. I can take my shirt off. We going to the beach tomorrow. Okay, cool. You want to go to the gym today? Okay, cool. You want to look like this? Like I'm ready for whatever. And so, hopefully anybody who follows my methods and follows my theories, y'all want to be ready for whatever as well. Like at any time of day, you can take your clothes off and look good, right? Like that combination of, is he bulking? Is he shredding? Is he this? Is he that? Like, what is he? That's that action figure. That's that I walk around like this all the time type of look, right? And so my suggestion is to do both simultaneously. And what I mean by that is, of course, lift heavy as if you're putting on size, right? You want to lift heavy as if you're strength training, right? You still need to do your cardio. So as if, if you want to do fasted cardio and your cardio is just in the morning and you can get it out the way, or even if you can't do cardio all the time, but you can just do some cardio a couple times a week and it's working for you, of course, do that as well too. Okay, so the fasted cardio. Now, when you're lifting heavy and you got the cardio coming, you're going to be hungry anyway. And so with that hunger, if you feed yourself a lot of food, but you feed yourself a lot of the right foods, instead of putting on that mass that you want, you'll bulk up lean, but it's a lean way of still being shredded, okay, and putting that mass on. So like, I don't know if you guys like watch professional bodybuilders and stuff like that, right? But I spent a lot of time when I was getting ready for my shows, especially when I was getting ready to compete in NPC, because I knew that I was going to be way off from those dudes. And when you're natural, when you know, like try to do cardio, and you tend to get skinnier. Like it's this skinny muscle look, like that Spider-Man type look. You know what I mean? And I didn't want to go on stage with that deflated kind of look. I wanted to still have that mass and have the detail so that I can compete with those dudes, especially since I wasn't going to be on nothing. You know what I'm saying? I didn't want to be like creatined up and all this other, every supplement in the books to try to see what works, because when you do that stuff too, sometimes that stuff just works against you and you might end up bloated, you know what I mean, instead of even looking the way you thought you was going to look. So that's a conundrum in itself. But what I did is that the stuff that I already ate, like I said earlier in the video, stuff that I was already eating, all I did was eat more of it. So if I was eating a piece of fish, it was 2 pieces of fish. If I was having asparagus, it's 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces of asparagus. It's this and that. But it wasn't so much junk. I still had my junk because you got to get your fix. And on top of it, remember, you still want to bulk a little bit. Like you still need to bulk. You don't want to just be like, I'm vegan, man. Let me just work hard and then eat clean all day long. Like you got to have that combination of a little bit of junk too. So like when you're trying to combine the two, you have to also eat bad so that your body has some fat in it from the food that you've been eating to burn off when it's time to do workout. So you need the bad food, but you just don't need enough to push you over the edge. Like it's like you want to eat clean 70% of the time and then bad 30% of the time, just so that you can maintain that balance. It's like a 70-30, and then what happens is your body knows, okay, he's going to feed me some more fat or something junk later on. And when I get this junk in my system, I'm going to go to the gym and, I'll work it off because, of course, fat gets converted as energy. And if you want to use that fat that's in your body, you just got to work out, you know what I'm saying? And not feed yourself no new fat. You just work out and then burn off that old fat that's currently sitting on you. And so to get rid of it, of course, you got to lift heavy weights and get fasted cardio and then eating clean, but eating cleaner. So like you could have 5,000 calories if it's all clean stuff, or 4,000 of it was clean, but then 1,000 of it was wild. That's fair. But if you got the ratio off and 4,000 of it was wild and only 1,000 was clean, then you're not going to have the look that you want. And what I'm saying is walking around with abs all the time, you can still have your junk food and walk around with abs all the time. But you may, like, let's say, for example, it's harder for you to keep your abs. You got to do more fasted cardio than I would have to do because my body wants to lose weight. Your body may want to gain weight, but because you're not eating so crazy no more and holding on to all that food, and it's not. And a lot of times, like, I don't know if this is just for me or if this is for y'all, and I haven't done the research on this, but I know, when people get like, what's that thing called, like the lat band or the gastro something, when they get that band tied around their stomach to make it so that their stomach can't hold as much food, keep that kind of thought in mind. Like if your stomach can shrink down or it can expand, are you eating to get full every time? Or are you eating to be like, to maintain your size and stuff? Are you just eating to live? Because if you're eating to live and you're eating to, maintain the size that you're looking for, then you'll spread out your meals. Like you'll make something and have a big dinner, but don't eat it all at one time. Like you'll eat it and then you'll wait a while and then, give your body a chance to digest it, maybe come back, eat the rest for lunch the next day, or maybe even eat some earlier, eat some later on in the day. Like you'll learn how to split up your food for the day versus like force feeding yourself all one big fat nasty meal and then laying down and not having none, all day long, because that's ruining your metabolism. So the metabolism has to be like something's coming in, something's going out, something's coming in, something's going out. Okay, we're working out and something's coming in and something's going out. Okay, let's hold on to this little bit of food and give this to the muscle. We'll keep a little bit of fat for later on for the cardio, and more food is coming in, some stuff so going out. So that's how it works. Like it's not even really that complicated. And I think a lot of times, like we've made bulking and like cutting so complicated because it's like, well, how do you do it? What's the goal? What's the this? But when it's natural from not taking nothing, remember, like cutting and bulking and stuff, we got our own set of rules. And I had to learn it the hard way because I was sitting there, how do I get ready? Because I wanted to win. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, well, who's the best natural competitor? Who's the this? Who's that? Ain't nobody out there. Like, ain't nobody. I'm him. I got to figure it out myself, right? So what I'm saying is that's what worked. That's what worked for me, and that's what worked for my clients. And I don't know about other people's clients. I mean, maybe they've, tried different methods and such. But for me, I know that like once you kind of know where your metabolism stands and you play with it more, you can do so many things. And so it just kind of depends on, how fast you burn and if you're doing the right things. I think really, if you take anything from this conversation, the goal is to do more of the right things than the wrong things. And then your body will appreciate you for it because you'll be able to see the results. All right, hopefully you guys learned something from that. All right, let's read some of these comments. All right, so you said WCJW, hey, I've been in a caloric deficit for about 2 weeks, 1 gram of protein per pound of weightlifting, but the scale is barely moving. I see hella differences in the mirror though. Am I on the right track? Yeah, you're on the right track. If the mirror is showing something, whatever it is, just stick to it. That whole 1 pound per gram of body weight and weight lift, all that stuff, I don't care about that stuff, to be quite honest with you. Like that stuff has never been a thing for me. Even when I write my meal plans, like I'll ask you what your size is, but I've never spent the time trying to figure out, okay, you need this much protein, you need this much that, because your body don't like, who wants to really deal with all that? Like, who wants to be sitting there as a mathematician all day long? You know what I'm saying? Plugging stuff in your calculator. Can I have this? Who want to do that? Like, I personally don't have time for that. So like when I see stuff like that, I'm like the plague. I don't want to talk about it. But you're on the right track because what you said was you see the difference. And again, in my past videos, all I care about is aesthetics and looks. If you look different, hey, whatever that was that you're doing, do more of it. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't need to be trying to figure out, oh, well, should I try this method? Should I try this? Nah, like you found something that works. If you on the right track and you looking better every day, run it. You know what I'm saying? So you got it. Elite Squad. Hello, just turned 40, 170 pounds, 5'8". You're pretty sure you're skinny fat. It's most likely should you cut considering you want to tone up. Okay, so you're at a perfect spot. You're at a place where you're at that pivot, like I was telling you, where you can kind of either go down and go up, go down, go up. And the best thing you can do is kind of just combine what I was saying, because your body doesn't have any shape. If you just skinny fat, you don't have nothing to work with. You're a blank slate. And so now when you're a blank slate, you're not at rock bottom and you're like, oh, I'm so elite. So because you kind of in the middle, you know what I mean? Now you can kind of play the fence up here. You can play down here. You can play up here. You can play down here. You do your fasted cardio, you do your heavy lifting. Fasted cardio, heavy lifting. And when you know that you're skinny fat, whatever you're eating already, if you like that size that you have, like the dimensions already, eat the same foods or eat the same amount of calories. But what will happen is once you start lifting like that consistently and doing your cardio like that consistently, that same food that you was eating will work in your favor now versus what you was eating before, and you weren't doing enough heavy lifting. Because if you skinny fat, that means you weren't tearing your muscles down at all. So, you know what I'm saying? Like you wasn't doing nothing for your muscles, because now that means that you never tore your muscles down when you were working out. And so food went into your body, and instead of going towards repairing your muscles that were sore, it just bounced off of them and stored as fat. So you didn't work out, and now you eating some more food. And now it's like, well, you know what? I ate good today. I'm just storing all this fat now because I really didn't tear nothing down. I acted like I worked out. Well, I went in there and I did some stuff, and I had a good hard workout, but you didn't do anything for the muscle. And so when you don't tear down muscle, your body just say, oh, okay, well, we don't need this for no muscle. We'll just use it as fat later on. You know what I'm saying? And you'll just keep on being skinny fat because you're not lifting. So keep that in mind. You still got to lift, okay, the way you need to, and you got to lift in order to get sore as well. So that's key. All right. Let me come back to you in a second, Jerry. Elite Squad, what's your definition of fasted cardio? Is 45 minutes too much? Fasted cardio, I would say 30 minutes max. Maybe 25 minutes or so. You can do 2 minutes fast, 1 minute slow. 2 minutes fast, 1 minute slow. And you do that for 20 minutes or 30 minutes or so. 45 minutes is too much. But fasted cardio isn't doing like, I ain't had no food in my system and then I'm just, running hardcore for 45 minutes. Like you don't want to do that. You want to do something where it's like Stairmaster, like elliptical, something slower state. Put your hoodie on. You want to be in there sweating, but moving slowly. You don't want to be in there. You want to be in there real slow and just leaking. Like, why am I sweating so hard and I'm not even doing nothing? That's fasted cardio. Now you know you're in the bucket, because what happens is you're not really burning all that extra muscle and running around in sprints and all that other. I mean, you can do sprints. I mean, like not long-term stuff. That's cardio. Cardio is whenever you do something for an extended period of time, like 30 minutes or more. Like fasted cardio and high intense interval training, what we're talking about is more of doing it for 2 minutes on, 1 minute slow down, 2 minutes, 1 minute slow down. Whenever you do something for a long period of time, that's going to get into aerobics or get into, burning muscle and such. And we don't need that unless you're just going to be walking. But if you're walking, are you sweating hard or are you just walking? So then it's like, is it cardio or not? You got to be sweating for it to be cardio. So, all right. Jerry, you said on a deficit, are you meant to eat more than calories since your workouts burn calories? My watch says I burn an average of 300 plus calories. I don't know if I want to take that chance and possibly overeat. Well, here's the thing about the calorie thing. Again, if you go for a look and you don't really care too much about the Apple Watch and what that's going to do, because your watch has never built a champion. Like Apple has never built champion competitors and such like that. Like, yeah, they might have metrics that you can go off of and things, but when you're talking about a visible look of somebody, this doesn't know anything about, what I'm saying, like paperwork and how many I have, and it's like that doesn't know anything about the image, like the body image. Like we all got so many different ways of getting to the end goal that, what I'm saying, like it don't matter how many calories, you got to test it. And so if you're, for one, I don't know why anybody would be in a deficit unless you that big and you want to be in a deficit. I get it. You know what I'm saying? You want to just come down because it's unreasonable. But for the most part, though, like if you're a guy or a woman, like a deficit necessarily isn't what's in your best interest, because you need to find balance in your own calories. Instead of looking to put yourself in a deficit or in a caloric surplus, just eat the right things first. Like eat the right things and take out all the junk and then see what you look like for a while. Do that for like a month or two. And then wherever you fall, then decide to add more calories or less calories, but adjust what your baseline was. And so by removing all the junk food and all the other stuff and, things that was unnecessary, like extra alcohol and things, or things that cause you to gain weight in areas that you don't like, or things or strategies that you have to maybe not eat enough that make you lose weight in a way that you don't like do everything right and keep it simple for a minute. And then once you find your baseline, you'll be able to decide if you need to add in more calories or take in less. And because everything fluctuates. So hopefully that answers your question, but I don't want to answer it too scientifically because I don't want you to get into that scientific bracket. Like just I'm saying, keep it simple. It's too much to do that. Like you can still be elite and not be a scientist, so don't worry. Okay. All right, and then WCJW said, are the stated calories burned on watches accurate though? How do you really know if many calories you burn or if you had a good workout? Exactly my point. Yeah. So it's like, are they accurate? My body may need more calories. Like you got to know your TDEE, your total daily energy expended, and then does that really count? Because you don't really know. You might burn energy just from being the way you are. And then remember, like for every pound of muscle for every 10 pounds of muscle, your body already burns fat, like at rest. So you don't have to do much to be burning fat at rest when you got muscle in your body already. So there's already all these different combinations of things that are working in your favor. But when you start getting even more detailed and more specific about calories, I would suggest that instead of spending that type of energy on what I'm eating, how many and how much of it I'm eating, I would try to just say, well, why don't you focus first on, are you doing your fasted cardio and are you lifting the way that you're supposed to be lifting? Those are the two things that matter. That food stuff is, whatever, but make sure that you can, it's important, but it's only important to a look. So if you can still eat pizza and burgers and stuff like that, but most of the time you have your clean stuff and it doesn't affect the way your body looks, like your midsection and your back, and you can still see the detail. It don't even matter how many calories you have. It don't even matter. It's not important at all. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not important. And on top of that, when you think about women, like I've trained women in the past, and most of my clients were women also. And so like I wasn't a big fan of diets because I know that women come in all different shapes and sizes. And when you come in different shapes and sizes like that weight can be distributed all over your body in a way that still looks appealing, regardless of what the scale says. And so you can be 140 but be symmetrically proportioned and look real good because we worked out your legs more, and then we did certain things on your midsection and snatched your waist, but made your upper body more toned, but your lower body is still thick, and we bulked your lower. So you can do things, but then later on you check the scale and it's like, oh shoot, I'm the same weight, but I look way different. And that's okay. You know what I'm saying? That's the goal. Like, you don't have to worry too much about, oh, I can't eat this, or I need to stick between my calories and all this other stuff. Like, that stuff ain't real. You know what I mean? Like, that stuff is temporary, and it's just something to stress you out and give you more of a headache later on and be worried about some other stuff. But remove that and just focus on, doing the right things, taking pictures of yourself, and that should solve your mystery. And then you'll be able to bulk and cut at the same time, and then walk around like that all year. Versus, well, this 6 months I got to bulk, and this 6 months I got to cut, and then where's the in between? So you spend 6 months, and then 6 months trying to get your body back down to a good size, and you only had a week looking good. It's like, what? Only a week? You might as well look good for the whole year and just try my way. You know what I mean? So anyway, we got one more question. All right, I got you. Said, WCJW said, my channel deserves way more praise. We're gonna get there. It's coming. You know what I'm saying? Just a matter of time. And Elise Squatty said, last question, when is it time to work with a trainer if I'm new to this and never really strength trained? If you never worked with anybody before, you have to start off with your calisthenics. You got to start off with your pull-ups, your push-ups, and your dips, and your squats. Like, max that out. Once you can squeeze out 100 push-ups, or 4 sets of 25, and it's starting to make you look better and you looking good, then that's your workout for the day, and your chest is sore, and you still getting sore from those 100 push-ups, like, you don't need a trainer. If you can't squeeze out 100 pull-ups on your own, like with no assistance and stuff like that, you have a whole piece of equipment that you got to practice on for months. Add that weight to the assisted pull-up machine and start taking it down. As you get stronger, you start taking it down until you can use your own body weight, and then you'll be good. Same thing with your other things, like with your legs and stuff. Work on doing your squats and your mechanics and doing a lot of reps of those legs. And once you get past that and kind of get a good baseline, you'll have more fun working with the trainer because they're not going to be working you from scratch. Like, you don't want to pay money to somebody and they're like starting you off with stuff that a grandma could do. You know what I'm saying? Like, go ahead and get right first. That way, when you get to them, or even when you pick a trainer, you might be able to spend your money on somebody who's taking you from, the middle of the line to the end of the line versus from somebody who's taking you from the beginning to the middle. That makes sense? So do everything you can on your own first. And then once you get with that trainer, then they can take you to the promised land. But in the beginning, if you didn't try everything and you got, in a wealth of information out here, I would say start with calisthenics and, maximizing your own body first and then go in. That's what I did. Like, I was already good with my own weight, with body weight stuff first. By the time I started touching weights, the trainers, because I ended up getting trainers as well when I first started, but I was already looking good. Like, I was skinny, but I was good. So when I got trainers, they was like, dang, you already strong. But I was already strong because I was so used to doing my own stuff with body weight. You know what I mean? So when it was time to add some weight, I was like, oh, this ain't nothing. Like, this is all y'all been lifting? This is it? You know what I'm saying? 135, what? 225? Like, this is nothing. Like, I'm doing these on my, because I'm banging out 200, 300 push-ups every couple of days on my own. I've been doing that since, high school, middle school. You know what I mean? So now I finally touched the weights, and it's like my body just wanted it. But you got to get yourself to a position where it's like, your body's ready for that versus going in there and not trying. But start with your body weight stuff first, and then of course that'll take you to the next stage. So hey, I appreciate everybody for joining. I had more people than I usually have, so that's great. Normally it's only like 5 or 6 people. Today I think we got up to like 15, so that's good. Hopefully later on down the line, a couple of years, I'll have like thousands of followers in here, thousands of subscribers and stuff. So I hope y'all learned something today. Please share what you learned with some of your friends. Subscribe to my channel if you learn anything new. Don't forget to share it. Follow me on Instagram at GetFitWithKB. And if you have any questions or any comments or anything you'd like me to make a video about next week, please feel free to leave it in the in the comments or the chat. Or if anybody hits me up on Instagram, I'll normally chop it up with you too. So don't worry. Like, I'm not that guy. I'm not that famous yet. When I get famous though, don't hit me up. No, I'm just playing. But anyway, all right, I'll see y'all later. I'll see y'all next week, and thanks for watching.